Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too. You're watching content like this. Happy morning. What is today? Tuesday. And you know what? I turned on this camera with an entirely different message that I was going to discuss today. But as I was driving in, another message hit me really strongly. And it's know your audience. Okay, so you learned this. I've been teaching for a very long time. I've been speaking to groups of people on different topics for a while. I've been presenting at workshops for a while. Needless to say, I've had several audiences, right? I think probably being on YouTube is about as blind as I've ever been to the audience that's in front of me. Sort of, kind of, no. I mean, I really never know who's watching the video kind of thing, but know your audience. And this is what I mean by that, because I'm all about giving tips and tools and techniques to make sure that you're creating clarity in your life and that you're able to manifest what you please and you're able to create the positive energy that you want to create, right? So this is a prime example of knowing your audience. I have two daughters, right? And one of them is very forgetful and very junky. The other one, not so much, right? She's usually on top of things. She kind of knows what needs to be done. If she doesn't do it, it's because she's choosing not to do it. It's not because she forgot. The other one, she forgot. And she honestly forgot, right? It never even crossed her mind. I have a mind like her, so she's kind of lucky in a way. I get her. I used to get fussed at when I was younger all the time and told I only remember the things I wanted to remember. And I was like, that's not true. I forget things that I want to remember. Like I forget about friends' birthday parties and all that. I literally used to forget about that kind of stuff. But nonetheless. And so when the one that is not forgetful she went to school and she left her lunchbox at school, I didn't really say much, right? Because I was tapping into who my audience was. I'm like, this is a person that already understands the concepts of taking care of her things, putting things where they belong, and being a little more organized and being on time, right? All those sort of things. She kind of has that together. And okay. When it happened the second time, I was like, I had this conversation. I was like, am I mistaken? Like, do you not know, like, your things and all that? Mind you, she lost 2 lunch boxes before the end of the year. Interesting enough, she found one before the end of the year. Not the good one, the little backup one. That's the one she found. The other one, I think somebody got her for it because it had a really good container in it for like keeping the food hot and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a better lunchbox. So nonetheless, when I was having a discussion with her, I just remember how important it was when I was conversing with her that I didn't go back to square one. That I wasn't treating her as if she was a person who didn't understand the importance of keeping your things in the right place, the importance of keeping track of the things you're supposed to take care of, the importance of making sure that you are not being forgetful when it costs you money and things and all that kind of stuff, important things that is important to your life. Now, had it been the other one, I would have gone all the way back to the square one. Do you understand the importance of keeping track of your things? Do you understand how much things cost? Do you? Because that is a conversation she has to have over and over again, right? So the importance of knowing your audience means that I had complete buy-in, that I didn't lose my audience, which is the one that keeps it together. And she understood. She was like, you know what? I feel like I let myself down because I'm just not staying on track. I'm not staying in line with what I know needs to be done. I don't feel responsible. And so I think it's a special gift, but also I think it's something that can be fine-tuned and trained, right? Whenever I'm having a conversation with someone and it's a conversation about something technical related and they start talking to me like, here's a mouse, here's a keyboard, I completely lose my mind on the inside, right? I'm like, there's nothing worse than a person who is in their profession and deep in their profession and don't understand the audience that they're working with. So the problem that I'm bringing to you, this is the level I'm at. You should clearly know how to support me based on the level that I'm showing you I'm at. And if for some reason the level I'm at came off at a different place than exactly where you should meet me, then I will say, my bad, my fault. I didn't mean to come off as if I didn't understand this. But once I explain to you where I'm at and what I'm working with, you should be able to meet me there. It's kind of like one of the biggest things that we do is underestimate people sometimes when we don't know our audience, right? There's some workshops at work right now where there's been a terrible sequence of underestimating the audience. And the people I'm telling them, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm teaching things to people. I'm really good at filling out a room and understanding when a question has been answered, when people understand a concept. I mean, having a decade of teaching does not go underserved when you're doing like workshops for people. And so just the trust that I have in people knowing where they are is priceless, because when they're there, they're much more receptive to what you bring to the table, right? They're much more receptive to buying into what you're talking about. Not understanding your audience can make you horribly underestimate someone, horribly underestimate their capabilities and where they stand. And when that happens, you'll find yourself in a position to where they are a million miles ahead of you in many ways, and you are way back here because you decided that, hey, this person was, at this level when they weren't at the level that you were trying to approach them with. It can make you lose out on buy-in. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed when it comes to people not knowing their audience is miscalculating what it takes to have a smart person buy into your teachings, what you have to bring to the table, what you are offering them, what you are trying to create. Because when you don't, when you're not meeting people where they are, and when you are not knowing your audience and who you're dealing with and what they're capable of, you horribly underestimate them. And then you have a situation to where a person does not buy into what you're teaching, and they start to calculate ways to move around you. They start to calculate the lack of importance you are in a lot of areas. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing or, a bad thing or whatever. I don't know what anyone's goals is, but just know that when you're talking to people, meet them at the level. If anything, you can never be in trouble for giving people more respect and more trust than the level that they are, because then they have an occasion to rise to, right? But when you treat everybody like they are at this lower level of thinking, or that they're this level of thinking of being untrustworthy, that they're this level of thinking to where you surpass them in most ways, and let me just, talk down to people in any kind of way like that, you really don't get buy-in from that actual smart person in the audience, the person who's actually intellectually sound in the audience. And I've seen this several times. I've made the mistake of it teaching courses before and being in a classroom. I remember having to teach computer science courses to grown men. I was about 25, 26 years old, my first teaching jobs, and I was teaching A+ certification. That's a certification where people learn, I would say the basics, but it's a little bit more than basics of how computers actually work so they can support them, the hardware and the software in like college settings and corporate settings and those sort of things. And I was teaching people who'd been doing this work for a very long time. But the only reason why they were in this class is because computer science had not been regulated to the degree that it is now, or the degree that was working into. So if you knew how to work on computers and you were good at it, you had a job in it. There were no certifications and degrees in that area. So for a long time, you could teach computer science courses on a college level with an associate's degree. And a lot of people didn't know that. So anyway, with associate's degree and experience. And I don't know if that's completely changed. Because if you understand computer concepts and ideas, people don't really care about your degrees that much. They just care about whether you can convey the message to the students. And I remember underestimating the audience when I walked in, because I felt like if people were taking this class, then they needed to learn these things. The whole purpose of the class was to build a computer, like for the whole semester. These people knew how to build computers, these men, inside and out and up and down. I really had to get clever and creative with the ways that I was approaching them, because I learned really quickly, okay, this audience is not your average Joe. This audience is not your, your run-of-the-mill kind of mindset, kind of thinking person. And I think one of the biggest telltale signs when a person underestimates their audience is when they're too caught up in their own intelligence They're too caught up into their own plans and ideas and their own ways of doing things and thinking, and they do not understand the valuable mindsets and the valuable capabilities that other people have, even if they don't fit the criteria that you are used to seeing intelligence fit as a criteria, right? Even if their outcomes are not there that day, it doesn't mean that their outcomes won't be there the next day. You have to be able to tap into the energy of the room, tap into the mindset of people, and tap into the understanding. And when you have a conversation with them, they'll know that you understand where they are. You're meeting them where they're at, right? Because what happens, I'll say, with the negative side of underestimating people that you're dealing with, the biggest thing is that you don't get their buy-in. Is that they're too smart. They're too smart to buy into whatever you're trying to create, because you underestimated what they could do and what they could bring to the table. They're not looking at you in the way of reverence or admiration to a certain degree, because they realize you don't even know how to tap into the intellect that's right in front of you. I work with people like this all the time. I'm always in environments. And I will honestly say, I don't even think it's gendered in a way. A lot of people might say, well, men are more mechanical. They think, I don't even think so. I ran into females that were the same kind of mindset too. I'll say more often men than not, but they strongly underestimate the mindset of others. And so by lacking that trust and lacking that ability to see someone at a high level in many areas where they're not, and meeting them where they're at and understanding their audience, they truly missed the ball, right? Because just because your audience had lack of this and lack of that the last time you had the conversation, it doesn't mean when I go to my third period class, I'm going to start at the same place and treat them the same way. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of people do this when they're dating and connecting with other people, right? They date people, and if a woman treated them this way, or somebody was, being mistrustful or being trying to be a gold digger or trying to take them for everything that they had to some degree, right? They go and treat the next person like that when that person has no remnants. They have no energy of that. They have no mindset of that. They have no desire of that. They have no interest in that. And you really, really miss the buy-in, because you're treating her or you're treating him like they're the person that you were with 5-10 years ago, And it just shows the lack of intelligence on your part, emotional intelligence, because you're not tapping into your audience. You want to manifest, you want clarity, you want buy-in, you want people to understand you where you stand, and you want to meet people and even have leadership qualities even when you're not in leadership positions. Know your audience. Know your audience. The quickest way to get a smart person to disregard you is when you don't meet them where they are. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.